Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back. I'm continuing my film recaps of 2022, even though they are disastrously late and behind schedule. So without further ado, here is everything that I watched in June of 2022. So the first film I watched in June was Everything Everywhere All at Once, and there's no need for me to explain this movie. I feel like if you don't know this movie or haven't seen it yet, you've kind of been living under a rock. But I loved this movie. I thought it was excellent. It really felt like a breath of fresh air with its storytelling and its visuals, and it was such an experience to be able to see it on the big screen. And I know that they're bringing it back to the cinemas. So I think that if you have the time to watch it, and if you haven't seen it yet, or you haven't seen it on the big screen, I would strongly recommend that you go and watch it. The next film I watched was The Florida Project, directed by Sean Baker. The Florida Project is a slice of life family drama that follows a young girl named Mooney and her mum who live in a hotel in Kissimmee, Florida. I think that's how you pronounce it, which is the town that's very, very close to Disney World. So the movie kind of juxtaposes her and her mum and the other residents of the hotel living in poverty whilst just outside this very indulgent world of Disney. This movie was a rewatch for me. I've watched it many times. I love Sean Baker's films, including this and also his other film, Tangerine, which I strongly recommend everyone go and watch. I love the use of non-actors in the film. A lot of the cast hadn't acted prior to this movie or were actual residents of the hotel, and so I thought it brought a really realistic understanding and kind of sympathetic view to the poverty and the conditions that the people were living in. And I think you see that in the story as well, because it's not a, morally black or white, this is good, this is bad kind of story. It mainly just shows people who are trying to do the best that they can with the circumstances that they have. And one thing I love about this film is that because the plot is so kind of casual and slice of life, when things start to build, they build really subtly, and then the end 20 minutes is just this kind of spectacular burst of emotions and energy, and all these things that have been brewing and growing over the movie just come together in a really incredible way. The next film I watched was Taxi Driver, directed by the absolute legend himself, Martin Scorsese. I'm a little bit ashamed to admit that this is the first time that I have seen Taxi Driver. I hadn't seen it prior to this, but I did know bits and pieces about the movie just through kind of pop culture in general. So the film is about a ex-veteran named Travis who moonlights as a New York City taxi driver and is completely restless and mentally unstable, and just throughout the film descends into, I guess, mental crisis and violence and chaos. Even though I'm very well aware of Martin Scorsese's films and how kind of intense and violent they can be, I was still really taken aback by Taxi Driver. It is very clearly and very obviously a movie made in the 70s, because it just has that kind of 70s grit to it that I don't think you really see or has been replicated in modern movies today. One thing that I really liked about the film was its cinematography. I thought there was some really beautiful and interesting shots, particularly in the New York City landscape with the city lights and the rain. Overall, I thought the movie was really interesting and engaging, and I kind of see it like a car crash. It's really difficult to take your eyes off it, even if it is uncomfortable to watch in certain points. But I'm glad I watched it, and I can see why it's become so influential in modern cinema today. Next, I watched Looking for Alibrandi, which is an Australian family drama about a young Italian girl named Josephine, and it follows her. She kind of navigates through her final year of high school, her friendships, her relationships, and also some major family secrets that are revealed to her throughout the film. This one was a rewatch for me. When I first watched this film in high school, I didn't like it at all, but rewatching it again for a second time, I really liked it. I thought it was really sweet and funny, and I thought that the lead actress was really charming. The film is funny in the right moments, emotional in the right moments, and it's also a really fun time capsule of 90s Australia. And every time I watch movies like this, I just really wish that we had more movies like this, that we had more Australian films that really showed Australian stories like this. But that's another video for another day. Next, I watched Hustlers, which is an American drama set during the time of the global financial crisis. It's about a group of women who work in a strip club who decide to rob their customers and their clientele. I thought this movie was really good. It was just like a nice kind of 3.5-star, slightly above average film. I think that the acting and the performances were the strongest. The ensemble cast was really good, and they had, again, a good mix of like being funny in the right moments but emotional in the right moments. And I strongly think that Jennifer Lopez is a better actress than she is a singer or a dancer. I feel like her acting and her movies is her strongest point. Yeah, but overall it was a good film, did what it said it was going to do, and I enjoyed watching it. And the final movie that I watched in June was Joker. And I wanted to watch this earlier in the month, but I was like, I should probably watch Taxi Driver first because I know that Joker is very heavily influenced and inspired by Taxi Driver, and I wanted to watch the original source first before I watched the Joker. So I watched Taxi Driver and then I watched this later in the month, and yeah, it wasn't as impressive as Taxi Driver. It's still a good film. It has some really interesting moments, and I really admired Joaquin Phoenix's transformation. Like, I think about the way that he looks in the movie Her, and then the way that he looks in Joker, and it's like chalk and cheese. And I think that that transformation was incredible. But yeah, you can't outdo the doer. You can't compare to the original, and yeah, Joker really pales in comparison to Taxi Driver, but it's still a good film. So that sums up all the films that I watched in June of 2022. As always, thank you for listening in, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.